Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeff Woolsey. I'm a Principal Program Manager Lead in the Windows Server and Cloud Division. It's certainly a pleasure to be here in Amsterdam. It's my first time in Amsterdam, and it's a pleasure to be here for TechEd Europe. We've had a great day. We've already started the keynote kickoff. Hopefully you were there. We showed off a couple of really cool things, and today we're going to dig deeper into what's new in Windows Server 2012 Hyper-V. A couple of things we're going to cover: scale up workloads. What are the things that we had to do to design? For example, I showed 64 virtual processors today, talked about VMs with huge amounts of memory, up to 1 terabyte of memory and within a virtual machine. I also showed a pretty astounding performance of 1 million IOPS from a single virtual machine. So let's start with scale up. Scale isn't just more virtual processors. I bring this up because I've gotten this question for a long, long time. Server 2008 R2 Hyper-V, when do I get more than 4 virtual processors? Give me 8 and everything will be magically good. Well, actually, no, it won't be magically good. There's actually a reason. There's a bunch of engineering work you have to do to actually make scale work really well. And I'll explain that in a minute. Live migration should just work. If you're going to give me these big honking virtual machines and you're going to give me a whole new bunch of new capabilities, that's great. But you cannot take away live migration. This was very clear. One thing we ask customers over and over again: here's shiny new feature X. I'm not even going to tell you what the feature is. It's a really cool feature. But if I give you this feature, this virtual machine can't move anymore. It's locked to this piece of hardware. You can't fail it over. You can't live migrate it. You can't storage migrate it. It is locked to this piece of hardware. How do you feel about feature X? And the answer from the customers always was, I want you to take feature X, I want you to shoot it and bury it in the backyard, and I never want you to talk about it again. Because I always want to be able to move a VM. We heard you loud and clear on that one. Performance must increase with cores. Now, I have to admit, this one sounds silly to me, too. Because, of course, you want performance to increase with cores. Why wouldn't you? Well, of course you do. You expect that. And in fact, if I just give you more virtual processors and your performance plateaus, or worse, goes down, you're not going to be really happy with that either. So we need to maximize your investment. And again, we want to virtualize those workloads considered non-virtualizable. So let's start with a fundamental concept. Before I even get to the virtual, let's talk about physical for just a second. NUMA, or non-uniform memory access. In terms of scale, if you look at where we've come in just a couple of releases, you can see between Server 2008, 2008 R2, and Server 2012, we have just really knocked the doors off scalability. 320 logical processors, just to give you an understanding of how big a machine that is, that's a 16-socket server. Each socket has 10 cores, and then you enable symmetric multi-threading.